Now to an issue affecting U.S. veterans of wars in the Middle East deserts. We're talking about burn pits. They were used on hundreds of military bases across Iraq and Afghanistan.
Now some veterans say this way of getting rid of garbage made them sick. NBC 10's Jim Rosenfield has the push to make the government recognize what some call this generation's Agent Orange.
This is our burn pit.
Ryan Conklin sums it up pretty well.
Pretty much everything we have that we have to get rid of, we burn.
From bottles to wires to boxes.
And so God only knows what is burning in there at this time. And of course we breathe it in.
This is how the U.S. military was getting rid of trash in the Iraq and Afghan wars.
Anything and everything burns.
The one on Conklin's 2009 base was small compared to some others.
Hold on.
Now back home, the Lancaster firefighter is concerned about his health. He's seen other vets experience illnesses they blame on burn pit smoke.
Every time that burn, you got a good wind, and you're just kind of living in this cloud.
So Conklin and others are fighting the people they once fought for. They want the U.S. government to recognize the dangers burn pits posed and do more about it.
What goes through my mind is, what am I going to find out about 40 years from now?
Melissa Bryant is with the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans Association. Her group is pushing legislation in Congress, the Burn Pits Accountability Act. It would establish Department of Defense accountability to track and share information about service members' potential burn pit exposure before they leave the military.
Never before has the Department of Defense looked to be accountable for the toxic exposures that we face.
In fact, the DOD this spring skipped a congressional hearing on burn pits and hasn't shown up on Capitol Hill for burn pit roundtable discussions. And they aren't speaking with NBC 10 either. Reps have declined to set up interviews. In a statement, the department tells us in part, when used, open-air burn pits are to be operated in a manner that prevents or minimizes risks to human health and safety of DOD personnel and, where possible, harm to the environment.
We definitely see an association. There is definitely a signal between deployment and having a lung problem, a symptom related to the heart or lungs.
For its part, the VA isn't willing to only point the finger at burn pits.
I think the question remains, what is the range of those problems, and more exactly, what was it about the deployment? Was it the burn pit smoke? Was it the ambient air pollution? For some people, was it a blast exposure? We don't know, and I think we're still trying to pin that down.
But advocates tell us they want more done now before more vets get sick or die.
We're already 17 years into this, so something's got to give.
Now, 4 years ago, Congress did mandate the VA create a burn pit registry to help document exposure, and more than 161,000 veterans have now signed up. But that is still a fraction of the almost 3 million possibly exposed to the burn pits. More recently this fall, the president signed a bill that would create a VA Center of Excellence to study burn pits and treat exposed veterans. But right now it's unclear where that center would be located or, guys, how it would be funded. Advocates say it's admirable, but it's just not enough.
Wow. And I know you're working on another aspect of this story for 11 o'clock, so what's that all about?
So tonight, we're going to take you inside a lab. Is there a treatment for these vets that's showing up with lungs for the first time on TV? You're going to go in the lab with a doctor who's working on what he believes is a real breakthrough treatment developed using dust from one of the burn pits in Iraq.
Really interesting. And 3 million people could be affected.
That's as many as served in the desert during these wars.
Wow. Jim Rosenfield, thank you.